Oh, okay. Let's pivot from the bad guys to the good guys. Jimmy Carter. Let's say some
Yeah,
nice words of respect.
James Earl.
James Earl.
Yeah. I went back. This is probably going to be, a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but bear with me. The so-called Malay speech he gave way back when he was in his sweater, sitting in front, sitting in the. I think he might have been in not in the Oval, but maybe in the residence when they filmed that.
I'm
I
not
can't
sure. I
remember,
can't remember.
but he gave this speech, and the speech never uses the word Malays.
Nope.
But but I went back and I read it word for word, and I went, he was right. 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 All the way down. All the things he warned us against, to become insular, to become only worried about your own problems instead of the problems of the society and how yours fit into those. Um, he was warning that that will not bode well. That will not help things end well. And he was right on every. But you know what he did? He told the truth that we have problems and we need to roll up our sleeves and fix them.
Right.
And people didn't want to hear that. They wanted someone to just make all their problems go away.
Whoosh.
And hence the other guy,
The other
"Oh,
guy.
yeah, I could do that.
By
The one who will not be
deregulating,
named.
that's what we need. I had this thought today, like, and I think it was Olbermann mentioned it because I'd been wondering, like, what is the bee in their britches about getting rid of the Department of Education? Why are they so on? And then he said Carter started it. I'm like, that single fact explains it. Carter started it. They've never liked it because of that reason. That explains that for all these years they haven't forgotten it. The think tanks keep it alive. Rick Perry, when he did his famous, "There's three things I want to cut: education." Oops.
You're right.
It's still Carter started it. Reagan couldn't get rid of it because it was still a Democratic Congress for all of Reagan's term.
Hugely.
And
Yeah.
they still want to get rid of that thing that Carter started that they didn't want. I'm like, that explains everything. Okay, thank you. Finally, an answer for why they want that. It's a stupid reason,
Yeah, it's true.
but
It is a stupid reason. But it was part of the Health, Education, and Welfare Department.
mm-hmm.
And why I remember this, that I just remember that the secretary of that department's name was James Califano.
Hmm.
And Califano and Jimmy wanted to beef up the education. He said we should have standards. We should have nationwide standards that will keep it local, but we'll support them with money and we'll keep standards high so that we excel. Because without education, we're going to fall behind. I mean, really controversial idea. So that's why he elevated it to be its own, just like the Department of Energy was broken out because that was important. Department of Education, that's important. Thank you. And yeah. And then HEW had to be renamed Health and Human Services. So, yeah, they've never forgiven any president that created something that didn't exist before.
Also,
Right?
this also reminded me, like, oh, that's why Panama. That's why Trump's going on about Panama. It's another
He
Carter
hates
thing.
Jimmy Carter, and I don't know what it is.
I don't know. I mean, Trump was in his 20s starting to become himself when Carter was president. And he got all these ideas, and who knows what Fred Trump said every day about Carter. You can imagine. And it all went in there.
Well, what he doesn't understand was when uh, Speak Softly and Carry a Big Stick fellow went down there and got got Panama to break off from Colombia and deal with him directly because Colombians didn't want to let him in there. He uh, and it, to avoid looking like a straight up imperialist, signed a lease with them.
Right.
He leased that land.
Right.
Well, guess what? What lease was coming up when
Carter was president? And he's like, yeah, we'll honor that lease. That's it. It shows that you can deal honestly with the United States.
right, and you'll have a big boy to big boy relationship instead of big brother to little brother
Right.
relationship, and that was that's controversial. When has the canal ever been used against us? Name one since 1979 when he made that deal. And the other thing is the communists are the communist Chinese are they've got all their soldiers there. No, dude, they have zero soldiers there. And in fact, the U.S. still maintains the same base that John McCain was born on.
Right.
They still maintain that, again, under a lease. So it's like he doesn't know anything. He doesn't understand anything.
He's never looked up anything. He's never read anything.
Well, people, when they said, President Trump doesn't like to read things, so they said, okay, we'll make a slide deck. People can watch a slide deck. If it was more than 10 slides, he complained. How long is this gonna? Why is this so long?
And they figured out if we put 2 or 3 slides in that mention his name or have his picture, then he loves it.
Or if they dealt with a part of the world that had a Trump Tower in it, they would show the Trump Tower as well.
Okay,
and that would make
lean forward a little.
That's my property. It's a really good property.
Best in the world, the greatest, the best. Even though they're losing money every year, they're still the best. Oh, man.
And the other reason he hates Panama is the Panamanians. I forget the exact name, but he had a tower in Panama City.
Oh.
And they were one of the first people to rip Trump off the name of their tower. And he never forgave them for that.
He loves his name so much.
He didn't own it.
He just put his name on it.
It was just a licensing agreement to put his name up there. He didn't develop it, he didn't build it, and he didn't own it. So, but he had his name because they thought it would draw certain kind of clientele. And then when they realized they were not getting that certain kind of clientele anymore, because very little of that money was going to Trump. The extra money was supposed to go to the people who actually owned it. So when it wasn't happening, they said, "Oh well, let's take the name off." And that you want to piss a guy off, that's the way to do it.
I'm having so many thoughts. Some of them are like, I meant to say these things before Christmas, but we had an extra long break. Like his misunderstanding of tariffs, I swear he thinks somehow that tariff money is going to end up in his wallet. That's why he loves it so much. Somehow he is going to get rich from tariffs. I don't know how he thinks that, but I know that's how he thinks. That would explain it.
It must be, because it doesn't make, otherwise the way he talks about it doesn't make any sense.
No.
Because, a tariff is real simple. I mean, I don't know about you, Rob, but learned that in 6th grade civics class, that a tariff was a fee or a tax, however way you want to look at it, that is imposed upon the importer when they want to bring in a foreign
good
gadget, thing,
shipping
item.
Crate.
Exactly. And most of the time, they have to pass on at least a big portion of that fee to the you and me, the consumer, because they've got to recoup at least some of that.
Yeah, make a little profit above that. Now that it's cost more to import it, I have to raise it so I get more. We understand.
I may not have to do the entire fee, but I have to do at least a portion of it to remain profitable.
Right.
And he just doesn't seem to get. He thinks that and he's convinced his people, maybe he doesn't believe it, but he did convince his people that the foreign country, not even the foreign companies that are sending their
Right.
stuff in, have to write him a check
Yeah.
or write a check to the United States of America.
Or something. So it goes in the
Well,
treasury. I don't know.
it's just like the same thing. The same thing. He thinks NATO is a dues organization,
Right.
right? To be in NATO, you've got
We're
to
paying
pay
for your
2% of your GDP. No,
No.
no,
No.
it is a military alliance, right? Everybody spends on their own military. And, truth be told, we used to spend the lion's share.
We
And there was
had
a
the
good reason
wealth.
for it. After the war, they didn't have an economy.
No, everyone was
England's economy
destroyed
was
except for us.
fucked up. Yeah. The French were messed up. The Italians,
Forget
about it. Because we just watched a really good movie called The Children's Train about how bad things were, especially in southern Italy, from Rome
boy.
down. It was bad. I mean, kids were starving. There were no food. There were no jobs. And the whole thing of The Children's Train is how the Italian Communist Party got people or offered to say, hey, if we will take your kids up to the north. Still in Italy, they were saying, oh, he's going to send them to Stalin, and Stalin's going to chop off their hands and eat them. And sound like anybody we know? But anyway, they were just sending them up there to families who had a little bit more,
right,
and could help these kids out because they lived on farms, and the farms are very profitable up there. They had cows. They had, most of these kids lived in Naples or the streets of Rome. I mean, you couldn't subsist there, right? You had to have a job, and if there were no jobs, you starved.
Right.
So anyway, the long and short of it was that whole country was broken till, heck, maybe the early 50s.
Later than that, even. Yeah.
Even the Germans, they had a real hard time. They couldn't stand on their own 2 feet for a long time. Because, we all think of the Germans as being, roll up their sleeves and you pull themselves up by their bootstraps. But, you have to have boots to pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Oh, I should stop messing with the audio. Sorry. I'm like looking at the waveform. I just interrupted you. Now we're going to change topics.
No, it's all right.
We have to change
topics. I was going to say that part of, that I was looking that up, Rob, because I thought, what an interesting phrase, pull yourself by your bootstraps. Because literally you can't do it.
Oh,
if you're standing,
it's like lifting yourself
how can
off
you
the
pull
ground?
yourself up by your own shoes?
Right.
You can't do it. And that was originally the meaning. Oh yeah, we'll just pull ourselves up by our bootstraps.
You're saying an impossibility.
It was a negative thing, saying you're an idiot. You can't do that. But then people adopted it as pull yourselves up by your own bootstraps. I mean, the only way you can do that is if you're sitting and then you pull your leg, but your leg just ends up here.
Or it's like a slapstick Chaplin or Keaton gag where you actually do it, but then you fall over. Speaking of impossible things that are dumb, so this Canada thing, we're going to make it the 51st state. What the hell is that nonsense? I can't begin to fathom what's in his brain. It sounds like an original thought. Like no one whispered this to him. He thought of it. It's that dumb. But what is that? You can't just hey Canada, you're our state now. Oh, I did have a thought. He thinks they have oil, and we have to negotiate with them as a country if they're a country for their oil. But if they're a state, we just have it. It's ours. I think it's as simple and dumb as that.
It's also a way to diss Canada. They're basically saying, without us, you'd be nothing, right? We're your biggest trading partner, and without our market, you'd be nothing. So don't come crying to me about tariffs or whatever else I want to impose upon
I guess.
You. And so part of it's and if you tried the same, you notice he doesn't say that about Mexico anymore.
Not quite.
Because Claudia Scheinbaum just
She's
said,
pretty tough cookie.
yeah, but she did it really politely too. She just said, there are no caravans. I don't know if you noticed, but there haven't
Yeah,
been any caravans for over
had some
4 years now.
caravans.
So, and then the MAGA people said, she agreed to cut off the caravans. And I went, no, what she said, there were no caravans to cut off. But anyway, it's
Yeah,
just, I don't know. They're just in their own information space. They don't exist in our information space, which
right,
I like to call reality.
right. Well,
They have their own.
it's because we're beyond time and space here, even though we're talking about very specific December 30th, 2024 things tonight.
But I do recommend people see the children's train Italian film. You'll have to watch subtitles, or it's on Netflix. So
It's on Netflix.
It probably has an English dub.
And
It's really good.
I found, yeah, I don't, because I know
And their 100 Years of Solitude series they're doing is the Gabriel Garcia Marquez. It's very good.
Okay.
Awesome, Rob. Thanks for taking the lead on this.
All right, yeah, I'm having fun.
I'm gonna start figuring out how to use this.
Yes, figuring out how to use that because that can be important. Also, there's also like little control things like that help you. It's like a really simple switcher. Feed one, feed two, transition that interfaces with this OBS software. When you get slightly fancier, it does that. Okay, but otherwise, yeah, good talking to you. I will see you in the new year. Keep me updated on your Monday schedule because it keeps changing and so forth. But otherwise, all right, Happy New Year. I will talk to you in 2025.
Same to you. And we'll see. Good talk, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.